Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Hell, Community Relations Specialist for Greater Nevada Credit Union. Thank you for joining us on this recorded presentation. We have you on mute until the question and answer sections, and please feel free to take yourself off mute and ask pertinent questions to Patty Chang. Greater Nevada is finding a growing need for financial education from our community members. Each month, we will be showcasing a financial topic that we hope will help our community move forward with financial wellness. If you're interested in learning more about our webinars, please check out our website at gncu.org and search for Greater Nevada Wellness Hub. Today's presentation is on emergency preparedness. I would like to introduce you to your presenter, Patty Chang. Patty Chang is our Vice President of Risk Management and has been with Greater Nevada for more than 11 years. Her focus is loss mitigation and fraud and has helped to reduce delinquencies and control losses for members and the credit union. In an ever-changing payments and technology landscape, fraud is a complex process to manage. Patty and her team work diligently to keep at least one step ahead of the bad guys. She enjoys long walks on the beach, a good glass of wine, and showing others how to stop fraud. Welcome, Patty.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate the amazing introduction. And thank you again for having me for another one of these important sessions. I really appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about financial emergency preparedness and a little bit besides the financial stuff. But this is a topic that's interesting and timely in the last couple of years, as we all know. So today we're going to be talking about how to navigate the financial strategies you need in place in case of an emergency, the best utilization of your resources to help in times of financial need, and how to make the best of an unexpected situation by being prepared. On this page, we do have the QR code for the general public. If you hover over this with your phone and your camera, it'll take us to a link to the gncu.org page where it has additional resources that are discussed in this presentation. So please make sure you do that. Okay, so let's talk about this. So, what just happened, right? So unexpected situations are not always negative, but we have certainly experienced some challenges in the recent past. Unless you've been under a rock for 21 months, we are still in the middle of a COVID-19 pandemic and are still seeing its impacts. So those impacts include unemployment or underemployment, lack of daycare and school care resources. So in other words, people are working from home and having to manage their children's education and entertainment and well-being, and that's a very difficult thing to do. There are medical expenses. That's an always thing, but some people have unfortunately seen those go up in the last year or so. And then the rising cost of goods or lack of goods. I went to Northern California, a week or two ago, and my gas cost over $5. And that's never a fun thing, is it? We've also had history-making fire and earthquake season across the United States. Also, particularly here in Northern Nevada, Northern California, we've been impacted. And then there's normal things such as weddings, having kids, death of a loved one, medical expenses, household and auto repairs. So those are all things we have to think about and figure out how to handle and manage and mitigate so that we don't, bury ourselves in debt and can't get through it. So let's talk about those today. Yeah, Michelle indicated major fires are from home fires. Absolutely. Guess what? Thanksgiving is the highest incidence of home fires. The time around Thanksgiving is the highest occurrence of home fires in the United States historically. That's because people are forgetting their stove is on, their oven is on, or they're deep frying turkeys out in their driveway, right? So it does. It's very, very bad fire season. All right. So when life happens, what do we have? What can we do? 25% of American households have no funds in savings for an emergency. That is so scary. That really speaks to people, and this is everyone. So this is 18-year-olds. This is 70-year-olds. So there's a lot of reasons for this. There's no judgment here. It's a scary thought to think what happens if something comes up and I don't have the money to prepare to handle something unexpectedly. Another 26% of Americans do not have 3 months worth of expenses saved up for an emergency. That's also scary. 3 months is a lot. For some people, it's more than they can handle and more than they have currently. So today we're going to talk about some strategies on how to increase that and grow that. So how much is enough? So experts indicate that 10% of your household income is a good goal. What would you do if you couldn't work for 6 months, right? This is a tough question. Chris asked, do you recommend having emergency funds separate from my savings account? I do. We'll talk a little bit about different kinds of savings accounts, Chris, and so I would say yes. For me, I would, just simply because it's something that I would make sure I don't touch, right? However, there are savings accounts that you can put in that have a higher interest yield that you can't get to very often, and that's also an option. So the more money you have in there, the more interest you're earning, and so you're gaining interest on that. It is a little more difficult to get to those funds. So it just depends on what your needs are and how quickly you need to get to something. So we'll talk a little bit about that on another slide. Thank you for asking that question, Chris. So how do you plan for the worst? So sometimes insurance is a great thing. It can be an expensive but essential benefit. There's health, life, disability, debt protection, renters, homeowners, auto, and pet insurance can all be valuable sources of income or help in times of need. Some of these don't sound like they're that important until it happens to you. When I was 20 years old, I lived in an apartment, and my truck got broken into, and I was parked in Reno at my boyfriend's house, and I had a large number of things in the car. I had all kinds of CDs. This is back in the day, right? I had I had a laundry basket full of Harley Davidson attire because I had just gone to a Harley Davidson event. And if you know anything about Harley Davidsons, that attire is very, very expensive. So my car got broken into, and long story short, my renter's insurance covered it, not my auto insurance. And so I was able to recover $2,000 from my renter's insurance because I had that. And so it's one of those things you just don't know you need it until you actually need it. Michelle indicated my husband broke his legs and took 6 months to recover between hospital bills and home care. It was expensive. I am positive that was expensive, and I'm so glad that you guys had the benefit that was helped you get through that. That's a terrible thing, and I'm glad he's up and around again. Consider making some changes. So let's talk about this. So just creating and sticking to a budget is super important. I have an asterisk here, and that's financial education. There's a financial resource center on our website at gncu.org. Budget is tough. It's one of those words that everybody kind of hates, right? Because it forces you to look at your behaviors and change them. And a lot of us don't like change, right? Don't tell me I can't have my coffee. But really, how much do you spend at Starbucks or Dutch Brothers each week? I'll tell you the answer for me is $18 at Dutch Brothers. And that's a lot, right? That's 36, that's $72 a month. And so that's $800 a year. So that's quite a bit, right? That's a payment that could be applied to something else, or at least something in a savings account earning interest so that I can reap the benefits of it at some point later. How much do you spend on multiple streaming services? These are some of those forgotten charges. I will tell you from being in loss mitigation, every time someone has fraud on their card and we had to cancel their card, they say, yeah, no, I don't have anything else tied to this card. And the first thing I look for is Netflix, because it's an expense that goes through and people don't remember that it's going through on that card. And so it's one of those forgotten things. So when you're talking about a budget, it's easy to forget the things that are so pedestrian and so, that you're just used to, that you forgot you actually pay for them. So do you have the lowest? So here's some other questions you can ask yourself in making some changes. Do you have the lowest rate available on your auto, home, or credit cards? Right now, we have historically low rates on mortgages and on even vehicles. So if you haven't refinanced in the last year or so, what's stopping you? It's a perfect time for it. It's a fantastic time to refinance or get a home equity line of credit. The equity situation in most homes is almost everyone has equity at this point, unless you've purchased in the last year or so. So to go out and take a loan out is a lot, but you don't have to necessarily do that. You don't have to take any cash out. You can literally just refinance your loan, get it down to a lower interest rate, and reduces that monthly payment, which allows you, and then what I did when I refinanced my home last year was I put the extra that I was already spending into savings every month. So I didn't even change my payment amount. I put that extra money into a savings account every month. And so my savings has grown exponentially. What percentage of your income are you putting into a retirement account? So every year there's open enrollment, and then a lot of companies, a lot of employers allow you to change your enrollment more frequently for certain things. Sometimes for 401k it's easier, and so make sure that you're checking out that you have the right benefits. Your benefits coordinator and or your 401k provider can walk you through what it looks like to have the right balance for your needs. Okay. So let's talk through some of those savings options, like what Chris asked about. So here's some savings accounts, and these aren't all necessarily Greater Nevada accounts, but they're just accounts that you can look into and see if they have the right fit for you. So there's traditional savings accounts. That's basic, right? Low yield, and by yield I mean earning interest on this, but there are also a few requirements. So this is just when you become a member of Greater Nevada Credit Union, you have a share account, and that is typically considered to be a savings account. So that would fall into this category. The high yield savings account, that's typically online, such as like Synchrony or Ally Bank. They do a good job of giving you high interest rates, and that's because they have low overhead. Everything's online. There's no brick and mortar. You can't go to an ATM. You can't do any of those things. It's all online, so you do have limited access to funds. And so typically those funds have to be routed somewhere else where you can access them, or you have to use them electronically. Money market accounts, they're similar to standard savings accounts, but these require a higher minimum deposit. And so if you're in a position to do that, fantastic. CDs are certificate of deposit accounts. They have a higher interest rate, but limited access to funds for this one as well, and limited times that you can withdraw funds from this one. And then specialty savings accounts, such as Christmas Club, Minor Savings, I Can Save. Our I Can Save product, for example, is a short term. It allows you up to a certain dollar amount. So there's a maximum you can put in here, and there's a maximum term on what you can have this open for. So these are all great options. I got some of these from Forbes.com. You can also go to gncu.org and look at what we have to offer from a savings perspective. All right, let's talk about some of the benefits of benefits. So employer provided benefits can offer many resources that you weren't aware existed. First is the Employee Assistance Program, and this is often referred to as EAP. A lot of employees don't actually realize what's in this. They feel like the one thing I hear the most often is people say, well, that's where you go to get like therapy. Okay, and that's true. You can do counseling for your family or yourself, to help support your mental health and wellness. But there's other things. So for example, my husband's EAP program offers legal expertise. And so he pays into this. And so it is actually free of charge if he needs a legal counsel for certain things. And that's a fantastic benefit. There's financial estate and trust planning, which is great when you're getting to a certain age and you have kids and you decide you want to make sure you have things planned for just in case. There are death benefits. Death benefits would be something like, if you lost your spouse and you needed to notify all of his creditors and you needed to notify certain people, you needed to help coordinate some of the records and documentation that you need. These EAP programs offer people to help you do that. And there's also adoption and family assistance. So if you are seeking to adopt or, expand your family, they offer assistance here. It's a fantastic program. I would encourage you to look into the program you have at your employer. Health insurance, second time I didn't put this on here, but they have health spending accounts, and they also have flexible spending accounts. Usually this is pre-tax, and it helps you to put some funds aside in case you need to meet your deductible. In the case of Michelle's husband breaking his legs again, right? Knock on wood. We don't want that. Sorry. And then there's 401k plan, and that's pre-tax deposits and loans. The pre-tax deposits just simply is contributing to the plan. And then there's loans, which are, the 401k companies will typically tell you, and your benefits coordinator will typically tell you, these are not preferred method for you to get income, but they can be beneficial. It allows you to take up to a certain percentage of your vested 401k, and it takes a certain percentage of your 401k in the form of a loan, and you pay yourself back at a lower interest rate than some other unsecured loans really offer. So it can be a good good resource for you. Hi, Hilda. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining our chat.
Hello. Thank you.
Hilda, we've gone through a couple slides so far. We've kind of talked about what kind of emergencies there are out there, and being prepared, and we'll be sure to give you this presentation so you can look back through it a little bit later. So we'll go ahead and go forward, but please ask questions as we go. Okay. All right. So any questions so far from the rest of the gallery? Is he Cerie's typing? No? Okay, then we'll move on. So some other things to consider from a preparedness perspective, and that's as a homeowner. Let's talk through some homeowner things. So create a home emergency plan. I got this straight from ready.gov. Saray will probably link some resources on here. They're also at the end of this presentation. A home emergency plan talks about things like considering your unique situation. So let's say you live in Northern Nevada and your house backs up to BLM land or an open field that has a lot of dry weeds and vegetation. That's probably a high risk for fire. So what do you need to do to make sure that you are aware and prepared in case a fire happens around you? Again, making sure you have defensible space, for example. What if you're in a flood zone? Do you know where to get sandbags? Do you know how to prepare for that? Do you have the right insurance coverage? Those are things that you need to make sure you know. There's disaster supplies kits, and those include things like medicine and pet food and children's supplies, family documents, flashlights, chargers, batteries, all those things, sleeping supplies for each member of your family. Those are things that are always good to have. Know where you can go. So when you're creating this home emergency plan, let's say you have to evacuate your home. Where are you going to stay? Also, where are your pets going to stay? Are they staying in the same place as you? Is that available? Or do you need to find somewhere else? Remaining connected. So have a communication plan with you and your loved ones. So if you have to evacuate, and let's say I'm at home and my husband happens to be in his office or something at work, how do we communicate and how do we connect to make sure that we know where the other one is and that we're safe? Write down the stuff and practice it. Coming up with this presentation and developing this was really an eye-opener for me, in that I don't have one. I don't have a home emergency plan, but I will. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And last but not least is really reviewing your insurance, making sure you have the sufficient and appropriate coverage. That includes, look back over the last year. What were the big things you purchased in the last year? Do you have more artwork? Did you buy a big piece of jewelry? Did you buy more electronics? Are there things that you need to, make sure are covered under your insurance policy? Some other things you can do are perform regular maintenance on your home. That includes changing your air filters, winterizing your outdoor faucets and sprinkler systems. Also your exposed appliances. I had an old house I used to own. The washer and dryer were in the garage, and every winter I would go out and buy 3 new washer hoses because inevitably the hoses on the washer would freeze and I would not have availability. So I would take it off and remove it with a new one so that I could get it going. Check your smoke detectors and fire extinguishers twice annually. That also includes carbon monoxide detectors if you have those. And I actually was just visiting my elderly parents in North Carolina, and they actually have a ADT home security system that has carbon monoxide and smoke detectors coverage built into their products, which is kind of great. Consider documenting your items with photos and descriptions. That's valuable, such as art, jewelry, or electronics. Also high-risk items such as guns or other weaponry. And then know what to grab if you have to, know what to grab and go if you have to evacuate quickly, such as documents, family heirlooms, items in the home emergency plan. when I gave this first presentation, I gave an example of the waterfall fire that was here in Carson City and I keep getting this date wrong. I think it was 2007. And I was in Oregon during the time that this fire broke out, and I was on my way home and coming out of Lassen County. My cell phone started ringing off the hook, and my friends were saying to me, the west side of Carson City is on fire." And I'm like, "Okay, how's my house?" And none of them knew. They said, "We're sorry, we can't get over there. We don't know." And so I was stressed a little bit for the last 2-3 hours of that drive. Got to Carson City, got to my home, and realized, there was a couple inches of ash in the driveway, and it was terrible. And went inside and looked around and said, "What do I have to have? What is irreplaceable?" And it was very little, to be honest with you. I already had luggage in the car with some clothes in it. And I grabbed a safe that had Social Security card, birth certificate, marriage certificate, some documents, some family photo albums. I grabbed some medication and my dog. And really, to be honest with you, that was it. Everything else is replaceable. Everything else you can take care of. But really think about what you have to have and what's the most important and most valuable to you and your family's health and wellness. And that's really it. Thank you, Saray. Michelle says she keeps duplicate photos with her in-laws. That's a fantastic idea. I love that, especially now that most of our photos are in the cloud, right? So much easier to get to. That's the good news, is that we all have a lot of duplicates and negatives, or the actual CDs or the files electronically. So that's such a great thing. There are also systems out there you can get to that store these documents electronically so that you can access them anytime you need to, such as if you were on a trip somewhere and you stubbed your toe and had to go to the hospital, you could access your medical records elsewhere. So there's some of those products out there as well. These are all great things. All right, some more things to consider in the case of an emergency. Reach out to your financial institution, right? Ask for a deferment or a hardship if you need to. Understand your options for assistance. It's not always, I will tell you, because this is my department from a consumer standpoint, and it is case by case. It's not ever just a no. We have things we have to consider. We'll do whatever we can for our members, because it is important that we try to help, but we also have to figure out the best way to do that. Reach out, the sooner the better, by the way. The sooner you can reach out, the quicker we can help you and get you resolved, and hopefully not impact your credit and not impact anything like that. Reach out to your other creditors, make them aware of impacts to your income, collateral, etc. And then probably most importantly, reach out to your insurance company. Understand what your coverage is, what your benefits are, what they need from you, and get that started right away. All right. What not to do? So don't panic, right? Staying calm will help you make the right decisions. This graphic on here is kind of funny. 15% remain calm, 15% totally freak out, and 70% are stunned and bewildered. Hopefully you're in the 15% that remain calm. It's easier said than done sometimes, but really stop, take a breath, and don't panic. It doesn't help anything. Don't fall prey to fraudulent solutions. So there are no public service resources that will charge you to help you, including vaccine resources, credit assistance, etc. Also, and I've said this about 1,000 times, especially in my fraud presentation earlier this last year, don't send money or accept money from people you don't know, period. Please. Work with your family to set priorities: family, pets, food, shelter, clothing, hygiene needs, irreplaceable values. This is the best thing you can do. Make sure everybody's on the same page. It does not all have to be just on you. Make sure you're sharing this and that you all have a plan and that you're working together. I think that's really a great way to be prepared as a family. After the fact. So, once something is over, let's say it's a natural disaster, and you are able to reunite safely, make a plan on where to reunite and how to reunite. You should already have your communication plan, but what does this look like? Where are we going to meet up? If we can't meet at the home, what does this look like? Secure resources for your assistance. We talked about the EAP program for resources for grief counseling or therapy if necessary. You know, mental health is so important to handling a situation effectively and moving forward. We've seen a lot of that in the last year and a half, right? You know, the pandemic has looked different for everyone, and so have some of these. Disasters. You know, it hits people differently, and people handle them differently. And there's no shame in asking for help, in figuring out how to best handle and deal with your unique situation. And finally, adjust and document lessons learned. So if there were things you could have done better, do them now, right? It's never too late. You know, you never have to say that, you know, that you didn't get this, right? We're on this conversation right now, and I'm glad you're here. And I'm hoping that some of these resources and some of this information is making you think about your situation and how you can improve where you are right now. So what are your questions? Looks like Michelle's typing. Okay, while Michelle's typing that, I'm going to move to the next slide and just show you there are some additional resources. So Balance Financial Fitness is on our website. It's at gncu.org, and it'll allow you to make a budget. It allows you to create a budget, and they're fantastic to speak to, by the way. Like I said, they'll help you think through those things that are very, very normal for you so that you forget about them. No, I only spend $100 a month. Well, really, you spend 300 because you forgot about your nails and your hair salon and, you know, and the vending machine at work and things like that. They help you walk through all those things and really get honest about budgeting. Everfi is similar. Everfi is also a financial literacy site for us, and they have great resources that allow you to. There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos and webinars. You can watch through each one. It has a lot of topics: how to be prepared for when you're having a child, how to be prepared for when you're having a wedding, how to be prepared for you know, debt management. Thank you very much, Sarasa, for posting those. And then finally, there's emergency preparedness. There's some links here. There's ready.gov, there's redcross.org, and then apa.org. Those all have fantastic resources. I didn't create any of these things. You know, I did some research and came up with them and then put my own spin on it. Everybody has resources that talk about how to be prepared. And so take a look at what they have out there. Michelle asked a question. She said, are there ways to protect your pets? Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, for those who don't know, we do have Greater Nevada Insurance, and Greater Nevada Insurance offers insurance for all the things I talked about on one of the first slides. That was I'll go back to that slide. It was health, life, disability, debt protection, renters, homeowners, auto, and pet insurance, right? So a good example is my dog. We jokingly, but not jokingly, call him the $10,000 dog. He had glaucoma, and so he had to. We tried eye surgery, and then we eventually had to have surgery to have him, you know, have his eyes taken, which was very scary and sad. He's doing great, by the way. He's a fantastic dog, and he's a trooper. But it costs a lot of money to take care of this, and in some cases, you can have pet insurance that will help to pay for that. Pet insurance also covers regular expenses, maintenance expenses, and preventatives, just like we have, such as you know, teeth cleaning and things like that, which can be very, very expensive. Leslie, in the event of emergency, if I take advantage of a skip-a-pay option, how does that impact my credit or the relationship with my bank? So Leslie, that's a fantastic question. So skip-a-pay, so we offer several options here at the credit union. But taking advantage of skip-a-pay does not negatively impact your credit or the relationship with the bank. If you need assistance, you need assistance. There is no judgment on our part for that. The skip-a-pay option will allow you to skip that payment for that 1 month. It will continue to accrue interest. So, you know, in thinking about if that's the right process for you, great. If you need more assistance, let's say you need 2 months, then skip-a-pay won't work for that. That's where we would look at a deferment. And a deferment would be very similar to skip-a-pay, where we would defer that payment for X number of months. Let's say it's a 6-month thing. You're out of commission for 6 months, and you need some assistance. So what do we do there? Well, we offer hardships where you can reduce the payment or the interest or both, and maybe pay half of your payment for a certain time period. Well, so that will help you get through the hump of trying to figure out your income situation. Those are all great things. Skip-a-pay does not run credit. A deferment and a hardship do run credit. So it does create an inquiry on your credit. One inquiry is not necessarily super impactful to your credit situation. It does hit your score, but as long as you only have one in a certain time period, then it's not significant. There was a question through an email: is having a HELOC a good short-term emergency plan? I'm sorry, Michelle, yes. Having a deferment and having an inquiry on your credit is better than not paying that loan, 100%. So having a 30-day late is way more impactful to your credit than an inquiry. Great statement there. So is having a HELOC a good short-term emergency plan? So a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. And I mentioned, using your resources right now while we're in a great equity situation, in our housing market. It can be, absolutely, it can be. A HELOC is something you get a loan that's secured by the equity in your home, and it's sitting there waiting for you to use whenever you need to. Now, I would suggest that it be obviously used for home repairs, things like that. So let's say that we had a windstorm and your fence was destroyed. That can be very costly. We have a pretty large acreage for our property, and our fence cost over $10,000. And so replacing that is not something that I can do out of pocket today, right? So maybe having a HELOC out there where I'm already approved for it, and I have, it pays against my equity. I don't have to make a payment on it until I actually use the money from that. There is an annual fee, but it's not a very large annual fee, and it does have a very low interest rate. So it can be, absolutely, depends on what you're using it for. So great question. What other questions do we have? Okay. Do you think it is important to just have a contract with a heating and air company for annual or semi-annual inspection? Thanks for asking that question, Saray. I do know that some heating and air conditioning companies offer you discounts if you have subscriptions for annual inspections and preventative maintenance, such as vent cleaning and making sure that they come out and inspect your equipment from time to time. One of the things that I've done, and I have never regretted it, was I renew my home warranty. So if you've bought a home in the last year or so, or in the last couple of years, you can typically re-up your home warranty, and that pays for itself every year. I've had it for 9 years at this home, and it's paid for itself every year in the form of, I have 2 air conditioning units. I have, 2 garage doors, 2 heaters, a water heater. This year, the warranty paid for itself through my water heater. I only had to pay $300, and it was a $2,200 replacement. So that was a fantastic thing. And so I would recommend thinking about that. That's always a good thing too. Yeah, Leslie, you have a home warranty. It's been a lifesaver. Absolutely, right? Like I said, every year it's paid for itself. Last year it was a microwave and one of the air conditioning units. The year before that, it was the other air conditioning unit. So every year I find that the $400 I spend on that home warranty pays for itself in spades. So. Okay, any last questions? Looks like we have some questions coming in.
Hi, Patty. Thank you so much. I haven't had any more questions come through the email, and it looks like there may be a couple still typing away in the comments, but no, thank you so much. Every time I listen to this, last time I listened to this earlier this month, I just sat and I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to test myself. And I just wanted to let anybody know that if you fill out the survey, which will be shortly sent out, I will be happy to send all of these resources that I've posted into the chat. And anytime you sign up for these webinars, that is one of the big benefits is absolutely, we will send you these resources, and the recording is, we record these and they are available on our website at gncu.org if you want to watch them on your own leisure, which is still nice. We can give you that content. But thank you, Patty. Yeah, it's an eye opener, and thank you for sharing your story. But we'll see if any more questions come through, and we'll stick on for a little bit longer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity today. Any questions or comments, please let me know. Oh, I
Ooh,
see
we
it.
did have fun. Yeah, what home warranty? And oh my gosh, I wanted to add on to this and I was typing away, but I didn't renew my home warranty. And of course, bad luck on myself. I had a garage door, a water heater, and I think my swamp cooler, we had like a little small leak that year. And oh gosh, I wish I would have done it. So
Yeah, right.
my vehicle warranty, I absolutely use into full effect. But yeah, Leslie, if you wanted to share, or Patty, if you wanted to share any home warranties or if you know any to that, because unfortunately I didn't renew mine when I purchased my house.
Yeah, I have a Fidelity. I know there's also American Home Warranty, which is I've heard pretty good. Fidelity, there can be challenges, just like any insurance company in trying to get anybody out, especially during the pandemic. It was a little rough, right? But they've done a good job. They eventually follow through and everything's fine, and we get people out there. This last time with the water heater, we had someone out to take a look at it. Literally the same day I put the ticket in, and then he ordered the parts, and we had it replaced within a week. And it wasn't completely shot, so it would, a week doesn't sound like it's too bad, honestly. When it was completely, it wasn't leaking everywhere. It was leaking a little bit, so we could still use it, but it was short life. for that hot water heater, and so we were glad he was able to get out within about a week. So yeah, make sure you look, Hilda, when you look at your if you own a home, when you purchased it, you likely had a home warranty. That usually comes when you purchase a home in the first year. You get a full year of home warranty, so you could look and see who you had on that home when you purchased it. That's also an option.
Yeah. Hey, this is Leslie here, and I was just going to comment on that too. Is I have Old Republic was the one that came when I with the purchase of my home, which was awesome, and it's just covered a bunch of like little things. It's like you move into a new house, and it's there's something weird here, there's something weird there. This appliance is acting kind of strange. So yeah, to your point, Patty, I've totally made up for the cost of it in the first place. The one thing though that I'm evaluating now, as I'm actually at my time of renewal too, is the coverage for each of the different plans that you can get. So like the home warranty I have covers my appliances inside my home, but I have an older home from the 50s. And so I have galvanized pipes, and I know that I'm going to have some replacement of those pipes going sometime in the future. And my current plan actually doesn't cover that. I found out during this year. So I'm like, now, it's always that evaluation of the fine print and knowing kind of what to anticipate, I think, to having to think about that element. So I'm going through that now myself. So thanks for some of those other suggestions, and I'm going to, get some quotes.
Yeah, fantastic. Like I mentioned in here, make sure you have the right coverage. It's really super important, and that's a great idea, Leslie. I will say I had similar situation. My previous house was 1957, and we had some things that it didn't cover, but it had a lot of things that it did. So I guess just like insurance, insurance is never going to cover 100% of everything, right? And so you know, you hope for the best and hope that it covers the most that you can get the most benefit out of it. So thanks for sharing that. Chris, thank you. I
Amazing.
appreciate that we were able to help provide some different thought-provoking ideas, right?
Absolutely. And I was just going to add on to Chris. Yeah, definitely applying some more things. You know, I think of emergency savings, but wow, there's a whole lot of options and resources. And yeah, just you really that personal story you shared just makes us think we have sometimes things that we're not prepared for, or we are stunned when we're in those situations. So
Yeah.
really, you know, prepping for it in advance. So no, thank you so much. I think at this time, if you have any questions, please, you are absolutely more than welcome to email us at GNCU Financial Acceleration at gncu.net. And we look forward to seeing you on the 2022 webinars. That calendar is up on gncu.org. But Patty, I just want to thank you so much for, again, giving us this amazing presentation. I sit here and I definitely soak a lot of it in. So I will leave it to you, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. It's always an eye opener with all your presentations because we just make a lot of assumptions in our life, and then you realize, oh yeah, I was way off. And so, I mean, you've taught us how to deal with fraud, and you don't realize, you know, everything that's out there, like emergency preparedness. You think you have everything in line, and you're like, oh, I didn't think about that one. So it's always great to have you on doing our presentations, and just easy to talk to.
Thank
But
you.
during this presentation, you know, like we said, please reach out to us. Fill out the survey. We'll send you more information, all that you need. We also have recorded presentations that'll be on our website. And we're happy to have everybody here. It's an amazing program for us to have now, and please take advantage of it. We have one a month. December, we go dark. But come January, we're starting a whole new program for 2022. And thank you again, Patty, for so much for everything that you do.
Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.